This one's interesting, just because I love when folks talk about Twilio and all the bad acts that they're allegedly doing, call blocking, and all the things that my clients are always frustrated with when it comes to platforms like Twilio. This one's, an interesting case. It's brought to you by Abbas Kazarunian, the godfather of TCPA world. So anytime he's filing cases against platforms, especially those like Twilio, I'm very interested. So plaintiff Anthony filed a case against Twilio alleging that he had asked repeatedly to Twilio's paralegal and their litigation counsel for calls to be stopped by numbers owned by Twilio. Really interesting because, as we know, the TCPA's CFR provisions allow you to have rights if your number to put your number on the DNC list, on someone's internal DNC list. Now, the TCPA CFR regulations don't allow you to have numbers completely blocked from calling you, right? So the entire case is premised on having Twilio block phone numbers that are, stop calls to a phone number that are owned by that one phone number. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the court rules here, but kind of doesn't make sense to me. I'm with Twilio on this one, because why should Twilio have to ban an entire network of phone numbers that are owned by them from calling you, right? The DNC belongs to, the DNC is towards the entity that's calling you, not the person that owns the phone numbers.
Yeah, and to be clear, I mean, for most of you know who Twilio is, but let's imagine some people that don't know what the heck Twilio is. Twilio is a platform. Right? Twilio facilitates communications on behalf of third parties. The third parties are the ones calling you. It's Bob's Allstate company that's calling you. It's not Twilio. Bob's Allstate company is using Twilio to send the message, but Bob's Allstate company is calling you. And this, oddly, would require Twilio to ingest a do not call and then prevent any of its tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of users, right, from ever communicating with that number again, which just makes no sense if you think about it.
How would they even operationalize that?
Well, I mean, that Twilio could figure that out. They could just, have this number in their pipes and prevent any outreach from any of their DIDs.
So it wouldn't really be that difficult.
No, technologically it wouldn't be difficult, but it would be absurd because, if you're Bob's Allstate and they don't want to hear from Bob's Allstate, but you're a Dish Network and or you're the guy's bank, right? You're Wells Fargo and they've got a bank account there and they're trying to send you a message because someone hacked into your account. The fact that you didn't want to hear from Bob's Allstate doesn't mean that you don't want to hear about that fraud notification. And the law does not require anybody to treat one revocation as a revocation of all communications across the entire platform.
It begs the question of whether that revocation is even reasonable, right? Asking Twilio, so I'm actually just surprised that Boss, out of all people, are bringing this case, so I'm wondering if there's something else there that we're missing. I mean, this is just a complaint so far. It hasn't gone past, there hasn't been any motions being filed. I don't know, obviously, the background facts here other than what's alleged in the complaint, but Boss is bringing it, so it's not a class action, so, it's serious, but not that serious yet, but who knows, maybe more of these class actions will start being filed against platforms.
I view it as like it's two pieces, right? Piece one is what you just laid out, right? The universal do not call provision argument, which I think is garbage, and I agree with you. Abbas, what are you doing? That's a bad argument, dude. Don't do that. But the other argument, which is fascinating to me, is the platform liability, the Twilio liability for carrying bad illegal traffic, right? So set aside the universal opt-out for a second. Let's say that we knew Twilio was told, or Twilio ingested a stop message to Bob's Allstate, right? But Bob's Allstate switches phone numbers and keeps hammering him on Twilio using a different DID. Twilio is going to be charged maybe with knowledge that took place, right? Ought not Twilio be held liable for facilitating that illegal conduct by Bob's Allstate? To me, that answer is a much closer call, right? I'm not saying that I agree with the boss or that I agree with Twilio, but I see the argument there. The universal opt-out is baloney. It's garbage. I hate that argument, and again, I'm surprised that that's being brought. But can Twilio be liable where its user is switching tactics, switching phone numbers, and perhaps the DIDs are being supplied by Twilio, right? Can Twilio, with actual knowledge of this misbehavior, be charged with these violations as if it was itself the initiator of the call? That is a closer call from my perspective. That is what I'm most interested in, because if the answer to that is yes, Twilio will be in a world of hurt, because at the scale that they operate, I can guarantee you they have millions of violations.